Welcome back to Touring the AFC South. I am your host, Mike Patton. And on this episode, being that it is July and a very big wrestling event is going to be in Nashville, Tennessee, I thought it might be quite appropriate to bring on someone that knows the ins and outs of the wrestling business from all different aspects. Joining me on this episode, associate producer with the Ringer, Mr. Brian H. Waters. What's going on, man?
What's up, bro? Appreciate you having me on. I'm really excited. I think, to be honest with you, one of the things I'm most excited about is getting to meet you when I get to Nashville. That is a priority.
Well, I'll be around, man. I will definitely be around. So I got to ask, you haven't always been associate producer at The Ringer,
That's correct.
but, you first were a fan of wrestling. So how did that journey begin to be a fan of wrestling?
Man, I know some people are like, here he go again, but I'm gonna tell the story. Around this time in 1986, my mother was on bed rest with me because I'm born August 7th. So yeah, I actually got a birthday in about 32 days. Um, but so she was pregnant. I started kicking every time Vince McMahon came on and said, "Welcome to the World Wrestling Federation." And back then, sometimes mothers would like to be surprised on what the gender is. There wasn't this big gender reveal parties all the time. So she said, my grandma was like, I think you having a girl. She said, "No, man, this this is a boy," because he keep kicking every time wrestling come on. And sure enough, when after she had me, she kind of got used to watching it, became a fan. Then I became a fan. Shout out to my uncle Troy. He would always get the tapes. He would always order stuff, and then he would record it, give it to me, and if I didn't watch it with him. So I've been a fan literally all my life, or I guess you could say before I was actually born. But yeah, I've been a fan that long.
Man, long time and definitely an interesting story how you became a fan. Now, I've got to ask,
Hmm.
of course, again associate producer, The Ringer. You also, of course, host Wrestling Realm. We don't want to forget that. But
Buy
yeah,
the
definitely,
merch.
definitely.
WrestlingRealm.com. Buy the merch.
Right,
We
right.
trying to go to
Now,
WrestleMania, baby. Well,
there you go.
the
There you go. There you go. Now, how did you make your way to being there at this job, which I can see it brings a smile to your face every time you talk about it.
I'm not gonna mention his name just because he's more low key. But a good friend of mine reached out to me and he let me know about a position. And when he did, I applied and went through the interview process. And well, when they inked the partnership with WWE, he told me like he believed that I would be perfect for this position. And it pretty much happened there. I was working at Johns Hopkins Medicine, as you know, that was where I was working when we met, and I was doing science communications. But everything can't be great forever, if we could be real. And it got to a point where COVID stopped a lot of creativity because we had to focus on COVID communications. So doing the fun stuff with the science, like going into the lab and shooting videos of different things, we couldn't do that no more. So it was, stagnant and boring. You're working from home and you're just going through the motions, going through the motions, going through the motions. So that's when I was like, all right, you know what? I was looking for something anyway. Had another couple opportunities that fell through, and this just, it was the perfect situation. And thank God, I'm here. I've been there since September, the end of September, beginning of October, and I've been having a ball ever since.
Well, man, I can definitely tell you are having a ball because all the energy that goes into it, just the amount of shows I see you on or producing. I mean, you can definitely tell that you're into it. But let me get into a moment where I started getting into wrestling.
Okay,
I
yeah, we
was in
got.
high school,
Uh-huh.
and that was when it's WCW versus WWE. You had the Wolfpack, you had the NWO Wolfpack, NWO, you had Degeneration X over in WWE. I mean, you had Stone Cold, you had all those different things going on, and they were just trying to top each other every single week. I mean, does it get any better than those moments in wrestling?
We took it for granted. we thought, okay, it's this was supposed to be, right? Wrestling. It's kind of like sports. Like if somebody was to take the NFL from us, we would be devastated, right? Because we just know it's there every week, and that's what happened with those days with the NWO and the Monday Night Wars. You just knew you was gonna get Monday. On Mondays, it was rush to the TV. If you had cable, you was flipping channels, and you know there's been a lot of attempts to recapture that. Even with AEW, when they came along, NXT was on Wednesdays at the time, and they was really hoping to capture that war, but they haven't been able to. So it's been a lot of fun.
Yeah. I still remember. Let's see. I remember Degeneration X with the tank pulling up to what Turner Sports one
Yep.
time. I remember the battle in WCW for Sting. And that went on for weeks, and I was like, "Geez, is he going to pick a side yet? I mean, please pick a side."
Long-term booking,
Yeah,
long-term
definitely.
booking.
And then you had Stone Cold. I mean, Stone Cold was just he was by far my favorite wrestler when I was in high school. By far.
Right. I mentioned this one time that Austin Rock, I prayed for Austin to win WrestleMania 15 because it was like they took you through the ringer, no pun intended. And at that time, like Stone Cold, he was the guy who could be a champion that you never got tired of. When Austin won and the Austin era began, shout out when he was the last person to hold this title, and then, he would change it into this one. It was like, it was different. The Austin era begins and it was nothing like it. And, and at the time, you may understand more than I would have. I didn't understand the notion of hating your job, right? It didn't ring a bell with me. Like my dad is a truck driver and he seemed to like it. My mother was doing daycare at the time and she seemed to like it. So I was like, okay, people hate their jobs. That didn't make sense until I got older and I started working jobs I didn't like in the process of going to school. And I remember one time with a wrestling before we was prepping to do a wrestling room show, and me and the real Dwayne Allen was working at Best Buy together. And he said, "Yeah, now you see why Austin gave out so many stunners." And I was like, "That makes sense." And you remember the storyline when Austin became the boss, and he's like fired all the corporate people, just had like hired the secretary. He gave her a promotion to like vice president or something. But it was just so funny watching that, And then the little things, the union. I didn't know what a union was, but I knew Mankind. I think it was Mankind, Big Show, and Ken Shamrock. They were all a part of the union. I may have been one other person I might be forgetting, but they were all like the corporation rejects. And it might have been Test also. I might be wrong though. But they were all the union. and I was like, oh, okay, the corporation, the corporate ministry. So it was a lot of fun, but it definitely taught us about life when you look at it. A little too early with some of the stuff, especially with DX and stuff, but it's still WWE raised us. What can we say?
It definitely did. I mean, you go from with a Hulk Hogan to a Stone Cold. Those are my two favorites.
Whoa. Come on now. We got to throw Bret the Hitman Hart in there, in between. I mean, I know people throw Shawn Michaels too, but we got to throw Bret the Hitman Hart in there too.
You do. You definitely got to. Thank you, Canada. Thank you, Canada.
Shout out to them. He just celebrated a birthday, and they just celebrated a holiday. So shout out to Canada.
Here we go. There we go. Now, of course, we are going to talk a little bit more wrestling, professional wrestling, a little later on. But of course, Brian is a fan of a team that the Titans have seen quite a few times, playoff and regular season, and that is the Baltimore Ravens. The history between these two teams goes back to Eddie George and Ray Lewis. Eddie George gets the ball. Ray Lewis stuffs him, rips the football from him, runs for a touchdown, takes the heart out of the Titans, and it was over at that point. Now, of course, we go fast forward now to Lamar Jackson. He bottled up most of the game, and then he takes off running for like 50 yards, and he takes the heart out of the Titans. They can't do anything else to win. So what can you say about this rivalry that really a lot of people don't really talk about quite as much? They kind of got a little bit of an element of it when the Titans were kind of celebrating on the Ravens logo in the middle of the field one game. But what can you say about this rivalry that a lot of people really don't talk about quite as much?
The thing about the Ravens and Titans is what people fail to realize is, Mike, they used to be division rivals. They was in the AFC Central before the Houston Texans came and messed up everything. The Houston came, and then all of a sudden we had 4 divisions versus 3, and it just got all scrambled up, and that might be foreign to a lot of kids, but they were division rivals, and especially in 2000, like you said, Ray Lewis and Eddie George, those 2 teams would play each other twice a year, so there's always been history there, and you always go back to the time the Titans stole Trent Dilfer's playbook. If anything, that was like the beginning, right? And that was the beginning of rivalry. And Ravens win that game because I think the kicker missed the field goal, and he never missed at that time. And that was
Aldo Greco.
Yeah, Aldo Greco. Yep. And so and then I remember that season 2001 gearing up for the playoffs, and it was all right, Ravens, Titans. And I'll tell you, in the feeling in Baltimore at the time, like it was in 2019, was that nobody could beat the Ravens. It's like, oh, nobody's beating the Ravens. And sure enough, they beat the Titans. Then you fast forward to 2003, a team that most people felt could have won it all because of the defense. It was locked and reloaded. Titans come here. They hold them to field goals, right? Fast forward to 2008, where it just seemed like the Titans was unbeatable. Chris Johnson was unstoppable. What happens? Rookie Joe Flacco did enough, and the defense did the rest for the Ravens to win. So then you fast forward to the Lamar Jackson era. Well, again, like I said, 2019, everybody just knew, all right, yeah, the Ravens, they're not losing. They're gonna take care of business. Everybody going to that weekend in Baltimore felt it was gonna be a cakewalk. And then I tell you this, that Friday, it dawned on me, there's a guy who wears a crown. I said, he might be a little tough. I don't know. And the thing is, he did his thing, don't get me wrong, but Tannehill looked like a superstar. I'm like, why couldn't, and I'm thinking now, why couldn't he look like that against the Bengals last year? But, and then the following year, the Ravens beat them. So it's always, and to be honest with you, in 2019, I was nervous because I was like, we don't beat them in the playoffs at home, and they don't beat us at home. So it's like, and then sure enough, in 2020, the Ravens, the revenge game. Because now, I don't know if I told you, when I was doing sideline production work, I was supposed to work that Titans game, but they sent me to DC instead. And I remember I'm constantly, I'm on the field holding the parade, looking at the scoreboard, and DC scoreboard isn't like the Ravens where you see it the whole time. It's got to run through the cycle. And then I'm like, all right, Ravens got to lead. They can win this game. And then sure enough, I saw the play when Henry ran the game winner. I'm like, yo, and then there's the whole stomping, and it was cool. I know a lot of people didn't like it when the Ravens did it. I loved it. Talk trash. You get tired a lot of times seeing in sports everybody being buddy, brother.
Mm-hmm. Right. You definitely do get tired of seeing that. We got a few comments from touring the AFC South inbox over here. Of course, my cousin Herm P over here, boo Baltimore, said Jackson cool though.
where Herm P from?
Oh, he's from here too.
Okay, so he said he inherited this hate from Baltimore.
Yeah.
That's understandable. I get it.
Yeah. And then he also threw out the Hardy Boys, and of course Ron Carthen threw out flipping back and forth during the Monday Night War was quite a time. Indeed it was.
Well, did you ever record it on a tape, VHS?
Nah, I would flip back and forth the whole night.
So my grandma, we didn't have cable after 97, right? So in 98, 99, I would spend the night at my grandmother's house. And what I would do is, because I would record Raw in one room and I say SmackDown, and Nitro in the other room. But then there was times where I remember looking at the tape and I was flipping the channel. Then I go back and watch the tape and you see me flipping the channel. And that's the thing, people will never understand because it's so easy. I'm pretty sure, I can sit here and watch wrestling on my phone.
Mm-hmm. Man, those were the days. Those were the
Mm-hmm.
days. But of course, we got to bring it to today's date, and we're going to talk
Mm-hmm.
about today's players when it comes to wrestlers or potential as wrestlers from some players. Now, of
Yeah,
course, we can't do this without talking about Derrick Henry,
of course.
the big man with a lot of speed.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you had to think on someone he may be like in terms of wrestling or anything like that, who would you kind of compare him to? I'm gonna put it in your hands as the expert.
Oh man, I would say he's like a Bobby Lashley. He's very,
Yeah.
very quick, very fast. Yeah, he's like a Bobby Lashley.
Okay. All right. All right. Now I've got another one for you. He's a rookie. He was the number one overall pick. He's
Uh-huh.
6'5", 275. He is said to be as big as a defensive tackle, but can run as fast and be as quick as a safety.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Trayvon Walker. And if you've seen that man in his tape, boy, oh boy, I can't wait to see him on the field.
I mean,
So
just by the. Mm-hmm.
that combination of speed and size, I mean, what's your thoughts?
I mean, just based on the size, the sound. When you close your eyes, there's only one person you see. That's Dwayne the Rock Johnson. just just on the 6'5", 275. So I
Mm-hmm.
mean, obviously that's a tough bout because to be the Rock, you gotta have a swag and all that. But just I mean, there's a lot of people born after 2000 that don't actually after 95 that don't realize the Rock was a wrestler and that he was a multiple time WWE champion.
Yeah, no, it makes me feel old every time I hear
Because
that.
they only know him as the movie star.
Right, right, and no, I'm definitely not going to get into that. But hey, he makes a lot of money doing that. That's all. I'll leave it at that. But now I've got a different one for you,
Okay.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan. Who would I compare Matt Ryan to?
I got one, but he's not necessarily a wrestler. But I got
Who
one.
who, who you thinking?
Bobby the Brain.
Okay. Well,
Bobby the
Bobby was a
Brain.
wrestler way back in the day.
Yeah,
You know who
I
I
could
would
see
actually
him in.
I'm trying to think. Who see, because thing is Bobby was a wrestler, but you don't know him about that. So I'm trying to think of like a commentator who would be like Bobby the Brain Heenan. And I would say Tony Romo, but we can't act like Tony Romo was never an MVP candidate. It's just that Tony Romo's broadcast career may end up being better than his playing career.
Yeah, that's true.
But Matt Ryan, I would say um I would say X Pac. I don't know why. I just
Okay.
feel like X Pac.
Yeah, X-Pac was pretty entertaining when he was out there. Pretty
Yeah.
entertaining. He definitely was. Next one, Derek Stingley Jr. He's the rookie for the Texans, cornerback. Of course, his freshman year at LSU, he was all world as a corner, and everybody was like, "Wow, this kid's going to be great." In the next 2 years, he's injured. Now he goes to Houston. A lot of people outside of Houston didn't expect him to be the pick, but people in Houston definitely expected him to be the pick. So what are your thoughts on that guy? Quick guy, agile guy that kind of, I guess blankets one side of the field or commands a lot of attention. There's plenty of wrestlers that definitely command a lot of attention.
I would say Theory, and he's the upcoming guy. For those who do not know, he is Vince McMahon's handpicked. I mean, Vince introduced him at WrestleMania, said the guy who's going to be a future WWE Universal Champion. So that lets you know right there. So and when you talk about somebody who's like kind of being people in Houston are picking this guy, they know he's gonna be legit. That's what jumps out the mind immediately.
Gotcha. Well, definitely, everyone got to experience your expertise in wrestling, and I will say this: anything that goes on in wrestling, you can't get it past you. You definitely gonna know it or know about it, definitely. But of course, we have reached the time of the show where we have a game. I got 5 questions. I got 2 answers. You got to pick one on every
Oh
one. Are you
boy,
ready?
I'm ready.
All right. We got Sting or we got Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Stone Cold.
All right. Okay. I didn't expect that one to be that quick, but hey.
I like Sting, but Stone Cold.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still remember Sting when he had like the blonde hair and the different face paint. Then a lot of people don't remember that, but I definitely do.
Yeah, that even though like WWE's the Attitude Era is considered WWE, you can really classify that whole period of wrestling, and that Sting was not going to survive with the NWO. Like it was too cartoonish, because
Right,
even there,
right.
even there was still like a realism with Lex Luger and Macho Man. So you think about like the guys who he was teaming with when Hogan did the leg drop. It's the same thing. Now Hulk Hogan, what you going to do, brother? That wasn't going to work with the way that the NWO, the direction that they were going.
Right, right. I've got a Baltimore Ravens one for you.
Mm-hmm.
Anquan Bolden or Torrey Smith?
Oh, come on, man. That's not fair. Are you asking me my favorite or who's better? Like, come on.
Which one are you taking? You gotta take one.
We don't win the Super Bowl without Anquan. Like, it's no way. Torrey's my God, my favorite Ravens wide receiver of all time. But Anquan was special. Like, I hope that he goes in the Hall of Fame, and I hope he wears a Ravens hat or a jersey or whatever they do. But yeah, I gotta go with Anquan. He was the heart and soul of the offense.
He definitely had a heck of a run. Him and Joe Flacco together.
Yeah, he bailed Joe Flacco out a few times.
Definitely did. Now I've got a duo here that were both coaches of the Ravens.
Mm-hmm.
John Harbaugh or Brian Billick.
I love Harbaugh. Harbaugh understands when it's time to let go. That was the biggest issue with Brian Billick. Everybody felt he wanted to hold on to Kyle Bowler too long, and when you really think about it, wasn't that long, but he probably should have seen it sooner. And yeah, and the thing about him too, all right, under his regime, the Ravens had like the number one rushing offense, and I think that might have led them to being like top 10, top 5 offense. But we never got that explosive offense. We got a great running game. That was the year Jamal Lewis ran over 2,000 yards, but we never had that Minnesota offense, right? And that was supposed to be his specialty. So then you look at what's his name? I'm looking right at him. John Harbaugh. Special teams been good. Whether it was a Jacoby Jones or somebody else, special teams have been good, and that was his specialty. But I think that the thing that he's really great at is motivating and getting people to play for him. And of course, you hear like some of the old players who was under the old way, they didn't think he could coach, and they would say, "Oh yeah, this is what he got to do. He got to coach." During the struggle years when Joe Flacco was just chilling. But to see him make that adjustment with Lamar Jackson automatically puts him over the top for me.
Yeah, definitely. Billick was an interesting guy. The offensive guru that couldn't coach offense in Baltimore. Right. It was amazing to me that he lasted that long, and that Kyle Bowler lasted that long on that roster. It was amazing to me.
Even when they got a 4,000-yard thrower in Elvis Gerback, nothing happened. You get rid of Priest Holmes too soon. Now, granted, nobody could have predicted Jamal Lewis was going to get hurt in training camp. It's like, man, Priest Holmes leaves and then goes become a legend, and maybe not legend, that's pushing it, but becomes a super all-star Pro Bowler in Kansas City.
Yep.
And then we got Elvis Gerback.
Oh boy. And last one, but certainly not least, Macho Man Randy Savage or Hulk Hogan.
Well, on MacMania, we revealed our top 10 favorites of all time. Hulk Hogan is number 2 for me. So it's definitely Hogan. I understand. I'm going to be real. And this people know when I do this, time to tell the truth. It felt like a lot of people became big Macho Man fans after he died. Not saying there wasn't none, but I remember people making fun of him and say, "Oh man, Macho Man lost his mind. He doing the be a man Hulk stuff." So, but I'm a Macho Man guy. Don't get me wrong, but Hogan's definitely, it's Mr. Hogan for me.
Gotcha. Okay, and I forgot to say when you said about Elvis Gerback, Elvis left the building. I forgot. I had to say that. But
I mean, you down in Tennessee, you have to, right?
yeah, over there on that west wing of the state, they definitely know who Elvis is, or they don't really. I'll say this: they don't really talk about him very much because
Oh.
I would say the people that I know, they know
Mm-hmm.
3 6 Mafia more than they recognize 3 6 Mafia more than Elvis.
Okay.
So so that's just the way it is. But that's the end of our game. That's the end of our show. I will say thank you for coming on, Mr. Brian H. Waters. If you want to tell everyone where they can find you on social media and what all great, wonderful things you have going on.
Google me. In all seriousness. Yeah, Brian H. Waters at all social media platforms. Follow the Wrestling Realm at Wrestling Realm, as you can see on my shirt. If you're watching, the Realm is spelled with a W. Shout out to my mother. That was her idea for the alliteration. Also follow Ringer Wrestling on social media platform, on Twitter and it's Mac Mania, so you can check it out. Doing a lot of stuff over there. We got the Book of Wrestling, which is a catchphrases of the Attitude Era, hosted by David Shoemaker. Basically, we're taking all the catchphrases and telling the story about them. So the last one we did, what was? Shoot, I forgot that quick. What was the last one? But I can tell you, I'll tell you this. The next one, last one was Suck It. That was it was. But the next one we're doing Brett's the Montreal Screwjob. So we're gonna talk about that. That's gonna be fun. We've did Austin 316. We've done the Curtain Call, and we've done Die Rocky Die. So yeah, check that out. Especially if you're an Attitude Era fan. We talked to Triple H, Shawn Michaels, X-Pac, Road Dogg, and a few other notable names. So check that out.
Yeah, it sounds like fun. Sounds like fun. Well, it's been fun having Mr. Brian H. Waters on the show. It's been fun having everyone listen and join in. And you've been listening and watching Touring the AFC South with your host, Mike Patton. We're out. Peace.
Peace.